Yeah, I look good today. Well rested. New Year's. Happy New Year to everybody. What a great couple of football games last night. I don't care what anybody tells me. The College Football Committee got it absolutely right. They gave us 4 great teams with 2 great games. We're going to talk about that and the fact that I'm sitting here in Indianapolis. I got Indiana in my blood coursing through my veins, and we had Michael Penix and Kalen DeBoer in the house. Don't at me. First one of the new year. Last one on YouTube starts right now. Hey, look, Happy New Year to all of you, particularly our good folks that are on the YouTube chat that have been with us the entire time. Look, I don't give a damn what anybody tells me. Maybe Georgia should have been in. Certainly Florida State should not have been in. They gave us 4 good teams, the College Football Playoff Committee did, and they gave us 2 phenomenal games. And you know, when you're setting a tournament up like this, that's all you want. First, let's go to Bama. It is amazing. Now, people are saying, well, that's the best. That's the best team you got. Well, I don't know about you, but yeah. Yes, Alabama was better than Georgia. They just beat them. Alabama would have beat the brakes off Florida State without the Travis kid. Stop it. Stop it. Let's stop that immediately. Yes, they gave us the 4 best teams and 2 great games. Bama Slamma. You got to give Michigan great credit. I know they cheat. I know they're ridiculous. I have no idea what's going to happen with vacated wins or all that other stuff. That all seems silly to me. Cheating has always prospered. Cheaters, cheating schools, UCLA, John Wooden. It's historical in college athletics that cheating makes it right. Cheating is fine. Yes, Michigan cheated, but you got to give Michigan and you got to give Alabama and you got to give Washington and you got to give Texas credit, man. These kids out there battled their brains out. They did. You say whatever you want, but these dudes battled like crazy. And Michigan's kids were resilient. Harbaugh went for it on 4th down, and he got it done. J.J. McCarthy, when they needed him, guess what he did? He got it done. There's no denying that. Jalen Milroe sacked 5 times in the first half. What happened? What happened is what great coaches do. Great coaches say, yeah, well, screw this. This ain't happening no more. No, we're done with all of this, so we're going to adjust. Next thing you know, Milroe was not sacked. Milroe started going. He got sacked late in the game, and that was about it. And I got to tell you, I thought we were going to see a classic Nick Saban win. I did. I thought it until all of a sudden Roman Wilson started picking balls out of the air. Next thing you know, down the field they went. Corum with a great jump cut. Look, here's the deal with it. Say whatever you'd like about Jim Harbaugh, but his team plays clean football. His team does not get penalized. His team really hurt themselves more in this game than maybe any game all year, or certainly any game all year, but maybe every game combined with the mistakes that they made. But you can say whatever you want. And I will be critical of Harbaugh, but we're talking about the game right now. That team is really well coached. That team plays really clean football. They're incredibly well coached. They celebrate after. They throw it in people's faces after, and I dig on that. Hey, don't tell me how great you are. Show me how good you are, and then tell me how great you are. I got no problem with all of that, and neither should you. Look, you can say whatever you'd like. Harbaugh's this. You sure? Okay, yes. The answer is yes. Yes, he is. 100%. Yes. Is he a fraud? Yes. Is he a cheat? Yes. All right. Yes, 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 yes. But the dude can coach some football, and let's be honest, that's really all that matters in the Wild West of college football. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Again, now let me go the other way. Let me go to Alabama. I really thought that Alabama, with second half adjustments, was going to take this game. It felt like, you had a missed punt, roughing the kicker. You had a touch or an interception on the first pass that you got lucky. Good call, but you got lucky. It felt like to me, as my buddy Kevin Custer said, that Michigan was lucky to hang around and it was only a matter of time. But guess what? It wasn't. It wasn't. And Michigan showed Michigan toughness. Michigan's defensive front 7, last play of the game, stuffed Milroe. You can blame the call, and I think you should. You can get mad at the call, but you know what? Jalen Milroe was really the only thing going for Alabama, so they put it in his hands. Now, he ran right into a wall full of ass. I mean, he did. He ran right into a wall full of ass. That's what he did. Just a wall full of booties. And there was nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. But the fact of the matter is you put it in your best player's hands, period. Period. And that's exactly what he did. Saban, that's exactly what Michigan did. Michigan put it in the best players' hands, McCarthy, Corum, and Roman Wilson. And guess what? They got it done. How about this for a statistic? I just saw this. Third straight year without a national championship for Nick Saban. Third straight. Longest drought of his career. Longest drought. 3 years. Man, what success. Be careful what you wish for, people. I'm reading today, well, Saban's upset. What? He just got to the national championship game and got beat in overtime by an undefeated Big Ten team. And speaking of the Big Ten, don't look now, but that's 2 Big Ten teams in the college football playoff. How smart is the Big Ten? Going back to Jim Delaney. Going back to Jim Delaney when the Big Ten decided to start the expansion, not with Nebraska, not with Rutgers, but Penn State back in the early 90s. How smart was that? Next thing you know, you bring in, Rutgers. Okay, you got an East Coast market, no big deal. Nebraska football brand, okay. Great, not great, But then you go out and you get 4 teams that are all about that business. You got Washington, Oregon, USC, UCLA coming into the Big Ten. And Washington, well, they just go win themselves or get themselves into the national championship game against another Big Ten team. Wow. SEC this, mother. That's not fair, of course. Hell, you could have put in Georgia and Alabama. And any one of those 2 could have won the game. Now, the second game, and this is what makes you nuts as an Indiana fan, Kalen DeBoer just has that look. Kalen DeBoer, the head coach at Washington, has won no matter where he's been, and players want to play for him. And when I watch him on the sidelines, I think, yeah, that's a guy I can get down with. That's a guy I can play for. It is. I see some of these guys, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not playing for row your boat guy. I couldn't play for Tom Allen. I know that means because I'm kind of a jackass. I'm kind of hey, look, coach, I don't need all this rah-rah crap. I'm here to win. I don't give a crap about anything else. I don't care about school. I don't care about nothing. Just be the guy that shows us how to win. That's why I love playing for Bob Knight. It wasn't about anything other than winning. Go to class, win, and shut up. Well, Kalen DeBoer is that guy. And Indiana, the university, my school, had him on campus as the offense coordinator and let him get away to Fresno State. This is just like when Chuck Pagano was the head coach of the Colts, and everybody in the world knew that Bruce Arians should be the head coach. Everybody had to have known in that building that Kalen DeBoer was going to be the guy, and he is. Then you got Michael Penix. All Michael Penix did was beat Penn State. All Michael Penix did was beat Michigan. He's the only guy in NCAA history to beat Michigan at 2 different schools. Or he could become the only guy to beat Michigan at 2 different schools. My bad. If they beat Michigan, that's another in the accolades for Michael Penix. Could be the only guy ever. Now, it's a weird stat, right? I mean, transfers, other people will do it. It'll all get convoluted as we move forward long after I'm dead. Which ain't happening too soon, people, because I look good right now. Damn, I can't stop looking at myself. Lost some weight, got a 10, the head looks nice, and I went to an Elton John impersonator the other day. What a show! Till 3 in the morning. That's right. Tequila, sipping, hanging, 3 in the morning, but I digress. Let's get back to Michael Penix. Michael Penix put on a show. Michael Penix, Lee said it last night, he just got a snap. You know how a second baseman turns a double play and he's got a snap to the ball? Lee's like, that's that kind of snap. Holy hell, can that dude snap the pelota? And he snaps it nice. Really, really nice. Good for him. And I'll tell you something else. Michael Penix is no joke when it comes to running the football. I don't like, if I'm Kalen DeBoer, him running the football. Why? Because he's going to get hurt. Now, he's a lot bigger and stronger than he was when he was at Indiana. He was skinny getting his ass kicked at Indiana. I mean, he was getting hurt like it was his job. But he throws for 430, makes all the right throws. They tried to choke it down the stretch. Washington tried hard to give it back. They couldn't give it back. Why? Because Texas didn't take it. I don't know why Ewers lobbed that last pass. He needed to stuff that in about right here, face high, with some snap. And next thing you know, this man right here, Michael Penix, is leading his team into the national championship game. And this man right here, Michael Penix, was on campus at Indiana, and we let him go. Pay the man his monies. Pay the man his monies. That's what you got to say. You got to go KGB on their ass. Pay the man his money. Get the man in Indiana. Don't let him leave. Lock the gates. Do all that stuff. You can't fault the kid. The kid did what was right. He goes out to Washington, and now we've got a championship game of epic proportions. Now, I got to tell you something else. When I look at Washington football, I don't think they can play with Michigan. I don't. I think they played out of their mind. But we're going to break that down like no other as the week goes on. But I got to tell you, I think they played out of their mind for a long, long time. I do. I think they played crazy. I think they played insane. I think they were awesome for a long, and then it started going south on them, and next thing you know, Tejas had a chance to win the thing. But man, was that a fun night. Man, you know what? Be honest. If you want to get mad at anybody, get mad at, I don't know, who? Can't get mad at TV. They put on a great show. The broadcasts were fantastic. Can't get mad at the committee. They gave us 2 great games. You know, if one would have been a blowout, that would have been a problem, but you can't. Can't get mad at any of them. Can't. What a weekend for the Harbaughs, huh? Cheating Jack Harbaugh is cheating son. Now, John Harbaugh's a little different. John Harbaugh I like. John Harbaugh I can get down with. John Harbaugh's a good dude. But all they did was beat the living crap John Harbaugh out of Tua. What happened here? What happened to Tua? Tua. I don't know. I know this. There are 8 bazillion things. 8 bazillion. I'm just telling you. 8 bazillion ways teams can get into the playoffs. But I'll tell you, a team that is in the playoffs is, and it's the best team going right now, it's the Ravens. And the Ravens, ladies and gentlemen, have the MVP, and don't at me about it. It ain't even close. The MVP is Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson just went and did Lamar Jackson things. You know what? They were celebrating in Chicago, too. Not only did they win, but this is a unique situation. Most times when you win, you sit there and you go, oh, man, when we're a bad team, you go, this sucks. No, this really sucks. We won, we're a bad team, and now we're not going to get the first pick in the draft. Well, Chicago is in a great position, the Bears. Why? Because they won. Carolina loses. Jacksonville beats the living dog out of them, shuts them out. Bryce Young continues to struggle as a quarterback in the NFL. And next thing you know, guess what? The Bears got the first pick in the draft. How about that? That's good stuff. That's big-time stuff. Bears get the first pick in the draft because another team loses. Now, you explain that one to me, Spanky. That's good GMing. Now, that really, really is. The upset of the weekend, and Kyler Murray got it done. I'm not a Kyler Murray fan. I'm not a fan of anybody that you got to talk about having to work harder. And something's going on with the Eagles. Bring back Frank Reich. You got to bring back Frank Reich. No, you don't. No, you really don't. No, you shouldn't. No, you won't. No, you can't. No, don't. But anyway, the Eagles are struggling, and Kyler Murray went and got it done. Hey, Lord help our Colts. Lord help our Colts. Shane Steichen is the coach of the year. Now, let me explain something to you. There's a lot of coaching going on in the NFL. Hell, you can make the argument that John Harbaugh should be coach of the year. You can make the argument any way you want about anybody you want. You can. You can make arguments 100 different ways. But Shane Steichen took over an operation that had quit on the team last year. They bring in Jeff Saturday. He starts saying, me, I, me, I. And guess what? The team's like, no. They quit. They lost their last 6 or 7. They went down the toilet. It's over. All right, Steichen comes in. They draft Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson gets hurt in every game that he played. I don't think Anthony Richardson finished a game until the entire season just ended for him. Now, I want you to think about that. Next thing you know, this crap team that quit on their team last year has an opportunity to make the playoffs. All they got to do is win a home game against the Titans. Now, I'm going to say that, our Texans, excuse me. Now, I'm going to say that again. That's all they've got to do is win a game against the Texans. Now, C.J. Stroud, pretty good. And the Colts have been here before, a couple years ago. 2 games, win 1, go to the playoffs. At home against Derek Carr and the Raiders, he whooped up on them late. And then go on the road and beat the hapless Jacksonville Jaguars. They couldn't do it. They could not do it. So I'm sitting here as a Colts fan, and I know a lot of you watching right now are Colts fans. I'm not even thinking about putting the Colts in the playoffs yet. We've seen it too many times. But the fact of the matter is this. The fact of the matter is Shane Steichen has turned this operation around. He has gotten rid of players that they would have never gotten rid of. See Darius Leonard. He kicked 2 guys off the team late, Isaiah McKenzie being one of them. Now, Isaiah McKenzie is saying that he did not shoot a bald eagle. Think about that. But anyway, so Steichen has this team going into the playoffs. Steichen has this team rolling. Steichen has a garbage franchise that has been awful over the course of a couple years into the playoffs with just 1 win. They get in the playoffs. I'm making Steichen my coach of the year. I get it. People are going to argue. Hey, you know what? To me, it's always to the victor goes the spoils. To me, it's like, hey, you might as well make John Harbaugh the coach of the year. A lot of guys doing some really good stuff in the NFL, but none better than Steichen. None better. Don't at me. I don't want to hear about it. Steichen has been fantastic. And I am telling you, he is my coach of the year. Now, there's some injuries. We got McCaffrey, not going to play week 18. Smart. We got all kind of different stuff going on, but the Colts seem relatively healthy, at least as healthy as they've been all year. I ain't mad at the Colts. Watch out for the Colts. Hey, the Rams got the Giants. They were going to fight all game. Next thing you know, the Giants, Tyrod Taylor was making plays. Rams got the Giants. The Saints, I couldn't believe this. My guy Sack Attack had this one, and I'm like, you're insane. But we had it on the money line. The Bucks and Baker Mayfield, they crapped the bed. New Orleans got them, keeping their hopes alive. And the Titans, I don't know what the hell's going on with the Titans. Look, you know I love Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel is a fan of the show. Mike Vrabel has donated. He has donated all kinds of bikes. He's donated field passes, tickets. We raised a lot of money for our bikes program because Mike Vrabel pays attention to our show. And I'm in on Mike Vrabel. I like Mike Vrabel. I'm down with Mike Vrabel. But that team's a mess. And I'm not going to say that team quit, but that team looked like a team, well, let's put it this way. It looked like not like the same operation. It looked like not the same operation that a few years ago was running roughshod. Tannehill at quarterback, Derrick Henry running the ball. Did A.J. Brown leaving mean that much? We thought it did on draft day, but A.J. Brown went all A.J. Brown after the Eagles lost. He not talking to nobody, and all of a sudden the Eagles aren't as good because now they got a little bit of A.J. Brown. Is that true? I don't know, but the diva wide receiver will kill you. But I got to tell you, my guys in Tennessee, Dylan and the rest, your team sucks. They've quit. Now, if you're a Tennessee football fan, college division, Nico's the man. But that's a totally different thing. And then lastly, the Bills held on to beat the Patriots. Is this weekend going to be the last game of Bill Belichick in New England? I'll say yes. I'll say yes. I mean, what the hell? Hey, speaking of NFL, who do you think you are, Dave Tepper? Who in the hell? I get it, you're a billionaire. I get it, you're an NFL owner. I get it. You're a guy we're all supposed to go, oh, man, these are so... Well, who the hell are you throwing a drink on a fan, allegedly? Here's the video of it, and I got to tell you, it sure the hell looks like he throws a drink on a fan. I mean, what are you doing? Throw the drink, walk away. Look at him. I mean, what in the hell are you doing here? Flip the drink. Man, who the hell do you think you are? Like, you're an owner of an NFL team. Fans are going to get on your ass when the team sucks. I'm sorry. It's just what's going to happen. If you're the owner of an NFL team and you win championships, you can go get a tug and rub and everything's fine. Nobody cares. You can get caught in a sting, Robert Kraft, and nobody cares. Zero, zip, nada, nothing. But when you're the owner of crap, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, I'll hang up and listen. What do you exactly think is going to happen when your team gets the first pick in the draft and doesn't have it because you traded it to Chicago for a quarterback that looks like he can't play? I mean, the deep state, look, keep your deep state actions, and we await the Epstein client list. We do. But keep your deep state actions to yourself, David Tepper. I don't need that action. I ain't about that action, boss. I ain't about that action. Don't be throwing drinks on fans. Honest to God, fans should be throwing drinks on you. Let me ask the YouTube chat, would you throw a drink on a fan if you were an owner, ever? Would you ever do that? Would you think about doing that? Would it ever cross your mind that you would, No. Well, it would cross my mind. But I ain't doing it. And I don't recommend it. And now it's going to get interesting. Now the NFL is all like, crazy. And by the way, we got a lot of people watching. Hit that like button. You're here on the 2nd of January, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you very much. But David Tepper, man, there's no reason to do that. Screw you. You fat. Man, I'm not throwing drinks on fans. I'm not. I'm mad. We'll throw hands. We'll get mad. We'll get angry. We're not throwing hands either. We're not going to throw hands. I refuse to throw hands. I'm too old to throw hands. But damn, you imagine? You imagine you're that fan? Now, here's what's going to happen, and this is where the fan's going to be a jackass. He's going to sue. You know he's going to sue. Who wants anybody to sue? There's no suing. You were a jerk. Like, people always then go victim. What? I didn't do nothing. No, you were a jackass. No, you were a jackass. He threw a drink on you. Get over it. Walk away. Let the NFL deal with it. I don't need lawsuits. I don't need criminal charges. Stop it. Just stop it. I don't want to hear about it. That's it. That's it. No more. No more. Don't want to hear about it. Dakich, don't want to hear out. No lawsuits. You got a drink thrown on you. So what? You got punched in the bar. So what? So what? Did the Lions get screwed? Did the Lions get screwed? I don't know if the Lions got screwed. I don't know. Let's hear from Dan Campbell about whether the Lions got screwed or not.
Players report.
Two people can't report. I don't want to talk about it. All right? I explain everything pregame to a T. Okay? I did that. 70 reported, 58 didn't, or 68 didn't. We threw it to 68. That was the explanation.
Can you just explain the mentality to go for two there at the end? Obviously, you wanted to keep the game in your hand and try to win it.
Yeah, I told the offense that we were going down, 141 left. We're going to go down and score, and then we're going to go for two and finish this game out. I told them that, and so that's what we were doing.
And being backed up, that didn't change anything when you get backed up to the
Backed
seven
up where?
To the 7 instead of the 2 from the 2-point play. Did you think at all?
We were going for win.
All right. Yeah. Look, I respect it. And, the little D-bag report, well, did you got backed up? They just shut up. Just shut up. It's like the report after the game asking Harbaugh if what's his future? Some woman, hey, what's your future? Idiots. You don't want to know why people don't respect you? Why people don't respect reporters? Because they're idiots. I mean, well, you were back down. Shut up. Go ahead. Let's hear from Dan Campbell about being pissed off.
I'm good. I woke up yesterday. I'm ready, man. I've got controlled fury, and I'm ready to go. I'm absolutely ready to go. I don't go the other way. So, and the team won't either. We're on a mission, and we're not going to feel sorry for ourselves and wallow in everything. We had plays to make, we didn't make them. And it's a tight game, a good opponent, playoff type atmosphere, and you got to make that one extra play that we didn't. And so we will use this as fuel. I got pure octane right now. I woke up, I'm ready. So we're moving forward.
Yeah, you got to like Dan Campbell. He got pure oxygen. He's moving forward. He's ready, baby. That's right. That's right. And you know what? Here's the deal. How big are those plays? Well, if the game had gone to the Detroit Lions, they would have hosted, or I guess already clinched hosting a playoff game in downtown Detroit, which, oh, by the way, is worth millions to the city. Apparently, the referee involved, Lions are 0-6. I don't really like giving referees names out. I've learned this over the last year or so. Gritty taught me about last names and women. Never give out the last name of a woman, because you guys are some creepy dudes out there. And then I saw what Kentucky fans did to a referee named Higgins, and I like Higgins. I just gave his name out, but it's already documented. He didn't do anything wrong this time. But anyway, so Higgins, and next thing you know, what are they doing? They're trashing his business. They're putting all those negative reviews. Somebody just did that to another referee. I don't like it. Now, you know, I don't really like referees, and I know that the DEI world has cost the NFL bigly in terms of officiating, getting younger, getting older experienced referees out of there, getting more minorities in there at the expense of experience and talent. We all get all that. That's just the way it is, and we got to deal with it. But the truth of the matter is that doesn't mean we should be saying their names and you should go there and act like a jackass to their business or on their Yelp or whatever. That's just not right. And I will say it's not right until the day I pass. Look, they're officials. That's the way it goes. Getting personal. And I've said this before. You know, I had some jackass show up at my daughter's work when she was scooping ice cream here or over there in Zionsville, Michigan State fan. And I'm like, yeah, send him over. Send him over. We'll get some of my neighbors and we'll beat the living crap out of the guy. I know you're not allowed to do that, but what's the guy want to know where I live anyway? What's he going to do? You think he's got nice things on his mind? Oh, hell no. So long story short, I'm not going to say the ref's name, but the Detroit Lions are 0-6 with this guy as the head referee. That would give me pause. And Dan Campbell's team did get screwed, I think. But there's also out there that Dan Campbell sends 2 linemen out there to try to confuse everybody. And if he did that, then you got what you deserve. Hey, I don't know if you saw that Florida State game. Florida State taking on Georgia is, according to most people, what's wrong with college football. And everybody is blaming it on what? On the system. The system is broke. You know what the system is? Players that have no sack. Players that aren't Bo Nix. Players that opt out because I don't want to get hurt for the draft. I got to improve my draft stock. Shut up. The system sucks in college football from the standpoint of this. From the standpoint of free agency starts with a couple weeks to go in the season. Guys are being recruited by other schools at their own school. Coaches are flying in, whining and dining players on or off campus during the year. That should never happen. You can bitch all you want about the NCAA, but the NCAA stopped that crap from happening. Most people that complain about the NCAA have no understanding of the NCAA. Now the NCAA isn't involved. The NCAA is, well, it's going along because you all, a lot of media, a lot of people decided that we have to acquiesce to 18 to 23-year-olds like it's our job. I don't give a rat's ass about 18 to 23-year-olds' feelings unless they're in the military. Then I give a crap about them. I don't give a crap about 18 to 23-year-olds making a ton of money playing college football. I don't care. But that's ridiculous. However, 18 to 23-year-olds are sackless. I blame the lack of fathers. I do. I blame money and the lack of fathers. Love you, Bo Nix. Bo Nix's dad was a terrific quarterback. Bo Nix decided he was going to play. Well, all of these whiny-ass Florida State players, hey, I got a backside, smooch it. Hey, if we're the only undefeated team, we should be national. You just got beat 63 to minus 110. That's what the score was. I think Georgia's still scoring. Now, Kirby Smart is taken up for it. And I like what Kirby Smart says here. I'm not saying he's wrong. Let's hear from Kirby Smart after the absolute ass-kicking that the sorry-ass Florida State, whiny-ass, sackless Seminoles got.
People need to see what happened tonight, and they need to fix this. It needs to be fixed. It's very unfortunate that they, who has a good football team and a good football program, are in the position they're in. And everybody can say it's their fault and it's their own problem, all right? And everybody can say that we had our guys and they didn't have their guys. I can listen to all that. But college football has got to decide what they want. And I know things are changing, and I think things are going to change next year. And you know what? There's going to still be bowl games outside of those. People got to decide what they want and what they really want to get out of it, because it's really unfortunate for those kids on that sideline that had to play in that game that didn't have their full arsenal. And it affected the game 100%.
Well, I mean, you're part of the problem. I mean, coaches could rise up. Instead, coaches get scared of activists, media. All you coaches could rise up. All you coaches could say, hey, look, we ain't doing this. We're not doing this. I don't want to hear it. We are not doing this. We are not going to have a transfer portal at this time. We are not. Coaches could get together and solve the problem, even if it has to be a gentleman's agreement, even if it has to be like we did back the day after Steve Bartman screwed around with the Cubs. Every head coach in college basketball had to come to a meeting at O'Hare, everyone. You had to come to a meeting. It was automatic. Everybody had to come to a meeting. All right. Now, Calvin Sampson ran the meeting, and his cheating ass was cheating on the way to the meeting, but hey. And we were going to try to get some things done because college basketball was going down the crapper. Well, Mike Norvell, Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, you can get all these guys in a room and say, fellas, we can't change the rules. We can't. We cannot change the rules of college football. That has to be done through committees and processes, but we can go and change what we do. We can show some honor. We can show some integrity. Yes, we got a transfer portal, but let's make an agreement here that none of us are going to recruit a player on another's campus until the season is over. Now, that would last 5 minutes. I'm Pollyannic. That's fine. But you know what? You know what? That's exactly what should happen. Instead of just bitching and whining. We got a lot of bitching and whining out of these coaches, but every single one of them is afraid to take a stand because it'll hurt them in recruiting. That's just a fact. I mean, you can get mad at me all you'd like, but Kirby Smart can sit there and bitch and moan and whine. Well, guess what? He can change it. All right, let's hear from Mike Norvell.
There would have probably been, there would have been guys that due to injury would have been out or extremely limited. But obviously, if you're in the playoff, you had a couple more days, and we had a couple of guys that were on the trip this week that they pushed to do all they could to play, and unfortunately, they couldn't. And I think if we had a couple more days, we probably would have had a few of them back, at least in some limited capacity. But this was a championship level team. I don't care. You go back and watch 13 games, and that's what you saw. And I'm fully confident in what this team did throughout this year and what they could have achieved. That was not the path that was set out for us. And so, obviously, I'm proud of the guys that competed tonight and the way that they, how they've responded. And, obviously, we'll get better from it. But, something we'll never know.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do? I mean, you can change it. The college football playoff is changing. College football playoff is going to 12. Okay. But I got to tell you, and look, I don't know if anybody wants to believe, doesn't want to believe, whatever you want to do, whatever you don't want to do. But coaches could get together. Coaches have power here. And coaches like being powerless, apparently. How can you possibly, in a billion-dollar industry, give it all to 18 to 23-year-olds that talk with a lisp? I mean, how can you do it? I'm watching J.J. McCarthy, and I'm like, this is a little kid. I mean, he's a terrific player. Don't get me wrong, but he's a little kid. Well, you know, we're going to try really hard. And you're giving all of the power to them, to this? Get out of here. Well, the players, man, you're making money on the backs of the players. The hell you are. The players are making money on the backs of the brand of the school. J.J. McCarthy, go quarterback Troy. You think you're making nearly as much as you are at Michigan? Stop it, stupid. Players have all of the suck here. Players have all of it. But coaches are, and they shouldn't. No, it's idiotic. It's idiotic, and I'm the only one. I'm literally peeing into the breeze. It's the breeze. Well, they call me the breeze. That's what I'm doing. And nobody understands it. I understand it. Some coaches understand it, but nobody understands. You don't want this? Then stop it. Just stop it. But you won't. You can't because you're too chicken blank. You guys are so scared that you won't do anything about it. You won't. I'm just telling you, you won't. It's not what you're about. It's not who you are, coaches, and that's not great. No, it's not. But anyway, we do have a great college football final. I only care about the games. I don't really care about whether or not Florida State had enough players. I'm sure I'm wrong. You guys are better people than me. But look, Florida State, if you had any nuts, you'd say, all right, we're going to go play. But guess what? You didn't. Why? You quit. Why? Because apparently you didn't get what you deserved or you didn't get what you wanted. I want to hear from you. And I hope we don't have to hear from them for, I don't know, another year. Now, they did get that DJ Ungale, who apparently, I guess he's great. He's leaving Oregon State. He's coming here. He doesn't know one thing about the school, but he's coming there to play football. So good. Hey, we got it figured out. But I don't want to hear from these coaches no more. I'm tired of them. And it's the only place you're going to hear that. I've had enough of these frickin' coaches. Fix it, Kirby Smart. Get your SEC boys, get them together, and say, for once in our lives, we're going to have real integrity. Fix it, Jim Harbaugh, Ryan Day, DeBoer. Fix it, Lanning. Get your Big Ten coaches together and say, this is what we're going to do. We're not going to allow a transfer portal. We're not going to go recruit players off of other campuses. But you won't because you got no integrity. All you're going to do is talk. You're so afraid, you college coaches, to say anything that can be used against you in recruiting in terms of NIL, in terms of transfer portal, in terms of anything that goes against the almighty 18 to 23-year-old. And then you're going to lecture all of us, Nick Saban, on integrity. I got 2 words for you. My ass. Hey, tomorrow, January 3rd, the only place to catch OutKick's original and unfiltered programming live will be on our website. Yeah, you can catch up on YouTube. We are going to have all the videos on YouTube. But for all the live, unfiltered content, head to the Watch tab at OutKick.com so you don't miss a beat. In 2024, OutKick.com/watch will be your one-stop shop for all things OutKick. That's OutKick.com/watch. Allison Williams, A-double-licious, joins us next.
You know, it's shaping up to be one of the busiest holiday traveling seasons. And speaking of shape, if you're too fat to fit in one seat, Southwest will gift you a full row to spread out your extra self.
All right, so the really cool thing about Southwest Airlines is their customer of size policy. How it works is if you're a person of size, you can get 2 seats, even 3 seats, complimentary or reimbursed. So if you choose not to buy a second seat ahead of time, the day you get to the airport, you go up to the gate and you tell them that you think you're going to need an additional seat. They will give you an additional seat pass, or even 2 if you need it and it's available, so that you'll have a complimentary second seat and third seat if needed. They've been known to set aside extra seats for special situations like this, and if there's not seats available for additional seating like you need, they will actually ask someone to transfer to a later flight and get reimbursed and a free ticket and everything like that. Now, if you chose to go the other route and buy a second or even third seat ahead of time, after you're done traveling, you can contact Southwest and request reimbursement.
Yeah. As she said, this is part of the airline's customer of size, that's what we call it now, inclusion policy, which states that passengers of size have the option of purchasing just one seat and then discussing their seating needs with a customer service agent at the departure gate. If it's determined that a second or even third seat is needed, well, that person will be accommodated with a complimentary additional seat. And as she mentioned, customers can also pay for extra seats in advance and then contact Southwest for a refund of the cost of the additional seating after travel. You know what? This is a load of BS. Those of us who fit in one seat buy one seat and we get one seat, but those who spill over into multiple seats just get them for free.
You see her, you know her, you love her. And by the way, a treat for Indiana fans that I just heard Saturday, Ohio State comes to the Assembly Hall. I'm not saying that lady's name. It's called Assembly Hall. I don't give a damn about the Scott Simons. That's crap. They should take their name off it, let it be the Bob Knight Assembly Hall. But I digress. They're nice people. I know the Scotts, but they should be out. Anyway, A-Dubs is coming to Indy. First game basketball since 2021. But I got to talk about football. All right, 2 great games last night. I have no sympathy for Florida State. I just don't. I know you're a Miami gal. I don't know where you stand on that. But what did you think about last night?
Oh, phenomenal. It was so refreshing and nice to have 2 national semifinals that lived up to the billing. Michigan, Alabama, on paper, everything you could hope for, delivered on the field, the overtime win for Michigan. And then the shootout in the Sugar Bowl, right? Like Michael Penix just airing it out all over the field. He was phenomenal for Washington. So overall, 2 phenomenal games to kick off the new year. I think this is what we had always hoped for when we went to the playoff. We finally got it, and it's setting up for a heck of a showdown on Monday for all of it. And I think you could not have 2 better teams in there than Michigan and Washington. Opposite in a lot of ways, but really 2 great programs who I think are going to make a great final championship game.
All right, you're in Michigan right now. This is like the vindication tour, right? But let me ask you a question. When you cause your own problems and your school suspends you, which means they admit it, the Big Ten suspended you, I'm not buying into any of this we've overcome adversity crap. You created your own adversity.
Yeah, they have. I guess you could get into the nuance of that, of how much did Harbaugh know and blah, blah, blah. But it's been an interesting season for Michigan. How do I say this nicely without offending like everyone I'm related to and friends with here? There's a bit of arrogance for Michigan fans, right? Like they can do no wrong. And I think you see some of that attitude with how they've responded to the whole sign stealing scandal and the recruiting allegations and violations that began the season. It is wild, Dan, to think that Harbaugh missed half of the season. He missed 6 games. Right. Like that is insane. And they're playing for a national championship. So yeah, the situation certainly was not ideal, but I think they did the right like psychological warfare that they needed to, and playing it to their advantage and using it as a chip on their shoulder and the us against everyone. the bet and all that. So they have a special group though. And I do think it's unfortunate that so much of this team will be remembered for what happened with Harbaugh and some of the off the field stuff, because this group of kids, if you get a chance to be around them, they're really special. Blake Corum has the heart of a champion. JJ McCarthy is one of the most interesting, just really dynamic young men I've ever sat down to. He has so many different facets and sides to him. He's unlike anybody I've ever covered. They're a really, really special group of guys. And what they're doing speaks to their closeness, their togetherness, their talent. Phenomenal coaching job, by the way, by both coordinators yesterday for Michigan. But I do think it's a bit unfortunate when we think about this team. The first thing that probably will come to mind is all the suspensions and some of the scandal that rocked them. But they've overcome it, and that's a testament to the young men on the field.
Yeah, and I'll give Harbaugh credit for that. I mean, look, players made plays. I want to go back to J.J. McCarthy. You've been covering college football. I mean, you're only 22 years old, but you've been doing it since the womb. What you just said what makes him so special? What's different about him?
His mentality. I was trying to think of a way to describe it when we had them against Nebraska, because he has this weird dichotomy to him where he is this ultra competitive, loves physical contact. He's the hockey player mentality, right? Like he wants to lay out a hit. He wants to take a hit. He wants that contact. He seeks it out. He feeds off of it. But then he is this super cerebral, holistic. He meditates before every game, which they showed a little bit last night. But that's just like the tip of the iceberg of what he does from a mental standpoint. He does a ton of breath work. He's very introspective. I remember last year before the Big Ten championship game, we got into like a whole conversation about the ego and how that manifests itself and how he's learned to battle that. He just has, again, a maturity to him, and I think an ability to connect with people and a self-awareness that I haven't seen a lot in a young man his age in any walk of life, let alone as the starting quarterback at the University of Michigan. He's just different. And again, I think it's not even what he can do physically, which was on full display yesterday. He's such a talented quarterback, but for me, it's mentally that differentiates him and just the outlook he has, not just on football, but on life. Like I learned stuff when I talked to JJ McCarthy.
No kidding. Wow. I'm going to start doing that. I saw the meditation stuff, and I'm like, you know what? That's pretty good. That gets you through a lot of stuff. That and yoga. New year, new Dan. You covered Washington, correct? Give me your thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I'm shocked. I was giving Texas the nod all the way into this game. And the reason being is just physically, they are so impressive. I mean, from week one, we had them week one, and then at the end of the season, Texas, and they roll out onto the field, they roll off the bus, and they are physically the most impressive team you're going to see on the offensive and defensive lines. They're huge. They're masses of humanity. And for me, I was a little worried about Washington's ability to take care of that on both sides of the ball. I know how good their offensive line is, and they've gotten it done all year, and they're the best offensive line in the country, all that. But I didn't think they had faced this type of size that they were going to see with Texas, and I just was really doubtful as to how they would handle it. I could not be more wrong. I mean, Penix had time. He was beyond phenomenal. He's the best I've ever seen him play. He made all the throws all over the field. He probably made himself some money last night, I think. I mean, everybody thinks like the top two quarterbacks are a sure thing, and we'll see after that, but you got to put Michael Penix Jr. in that conversation. He was just sensational. And yeah, so I was surprised. The thing I worry about, though, going forward, Dan, as you know, is without Dylan Johnson, what does this offense look like next week if he can't go? I mean, that looked bad. He's been hurt all year. He's been banged up. He's played through it. I remember when I had him against Washington State, they were monitoring it throughout the game, that ankle. And they're like, look, he's a veteran guy. He knows his body. He's healed quickly each week and quicker each week, which was key for them down the stretch. He lets us know how much he has. That looked bad, though, at the end of the game. He's carted off. If he can't go or is severely limited, they are so thin at running back. I mean, I think it's like a Will Nixon kid who's barely played. Like, they just don't have a lot of options at running back other than Dylan Johnson. So that to me is a huge concern for Washington in the championship game. But what just a sensational performance, tremendous coaching job on both sides of the ball for Washington. Kalen DeBoer, he's so chill, right? Like, doesn't he just blow your mind? He's so level, he's so chill. And I think the team takes on his personality in a lot of ways, but what a remarkable job he's done in his 2 years there.
Man, I'm sitting here in Indiana, and we had DeBoer and we had Penix. I like Tom Allen. You always have to preference it with, I like Tom Allen. Everybody likes Tom Allen.
Everybody likes
But damn,
Yep.
DeBoer, everybody, right?
Yeah, Yeah, he's a great dude. And he's like so easy to work with. He's a player first guy. Like he says all the right things. But yeah, he had DeBoer there as his OC, Penix as his quarterback, and you wish you could have gotten a little more out of them during their time at Indiana. But yeah, I'm sorry, Indiana. They're good people though.
I mean, yeah, they're good people. That's what we are. It's like it's like you feel bad about saying, well, but everybody knew. It was kind of interesting. Like in Indianapolis, everybody knew when Chuck Pagano was going through his lymphoma and Bruce Arians took over. Everybody inside the Colts building knew Bruce Arians should be the coach. And everybody knew that this guy DeBoer was going to be the guy, but you couldn't do it, right? Because Tom Allen was winning. You give him the... But Penix leaving, that's soul-crushing. I think I don't know about you, and I'm not a draft expert, but that display last night, I'm saying to myself, if I've got the first pick and I'm the Bears, if I trade it, whatever, I got to look at I know everybody loves Caleb Williams, but I got to look at Penix. That guy's got something special, Allison.
I agree. And I know Daniels is right there in the mix too. Some people put him in front of Penix as well. But I agree with you. And I think last night put that on full display. The obvious concern with him is the injuries. I mean, what is he going to be able to sustain and to take, throughout his career from an injuries perspective when he's had 2 very significant knee injuries and more? I mean, like shoulder issues, all sorts of issues throughout his college career. I think that's going to be the biggest concern that could hinder where he'll be drafted. But talent-wise, arm-wise, it's impressive. And the way he played down the stretch, the way he's played in big moments, that's the other thing, right? Like Washington, they find a way each and every week, backs against the wall. The receivers step up and make big plays. Penix steps up and delivers. You can't teach that. You can't coach that. That is an innate ability for guys to rise to the occasion and be the best in the hardest moments. And he does that. And that to me is got to be considered when you're looking at who you're going to draft, who you're going to take as a quarterback. Again, I think if he didn't have the injury history that he does unfortunately have, it would be a dead race, for who's going to be the top quarterback this year between those 3.
I just remember when Penix was at Indiana thinking how skinny he was. And then I looked at him yesterday. And, he's been in college since 1985. Yeah. So I get it. He's gotten bigger and stronger. But he was really skinny. And they still ran him, which I thought was interesting. I'd forgotten what a good runner he is. I really did.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing, too, and he needed to show that he was comfortable running again. I think there's been some hesitation for him to use that part of his game. Obviously, understandably so for what he's gone through. And I think there was some mental hurdles he had to get over that he could still do that he could still be a threat safely and effectively in the ground game. But the thing too, he's skinny. His body build, I'm interested to see how it will be evaluated by the guys that really know this stuff, because he's got really, really long arms. Like if you look at him, there's something physically that is just a little different. And I think it's his wingspan, his arm length is so long. And it's not like he's got super broad shoulders, which would factor into that. It's his arm length. And then he's got those huge hands, which allow him to put a ton of spin on the ball, and why he's, a big part of why he's so good. It'll be like the opposite hand controversy with Pickett. It'll have like the biggest hand instead of the smallest. So I think it will be interesting to see how these things are evaluated and graded out by the people that know what this stuff means better than me for sure. But yeah, physically he's interesting. Again, just a little different, like body ratio wise, and then those huge hands, which they all love, and give him a ton of just grip and rip on that ball because he spins it different. Like he's one of those guys, Dan, you see in person, you see that ball travel through the air. It spins a little different, and it's not just because he's a lefty.
It's interesting. Lee said, we were watching yesterday, and the lovely Lee Ross said, and I didn't notice this, but you're describing it in depth. She goes, he has a flip, he has a snap to his ball like a second baseman turning a double play, just a whip.
Yes.
And I couldn't stop watching that. I was like, God, you're right. And that's because of the size of his hands, and he's able to just flip it.
Yeah.
If you were going to make the line, if you're Vegas and you're just, what would you make the line? What would Allison Williams, Michigan, Washington line be? What would you make the line?
Like Michigan 3.5.
Is that right? 3.5?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just a slight favorite. I don't think, and again, Dylan Johnson, like that's what you need to know before you said anything in this game is his health status, because of they're just going to be so one-dimensional without him. But that is interesting. Lee noticed that. I'm not surprised because she's the best. When we were in Washington, Grubb, their offensive coordinator, was showing us the way he throws and holds the ball. Like he's got his index finger on the tip of the football because his hand is so big. So it's on the very tip. So when he slings it, that gives him that spin that Lee was saying that some quarterbacks just can't do because their hands aren't that size. But the way he holds the ball with those massive mitts is a big reason why his ball cuts the way it does.
You know, it's interesting. Terry Bradshaw used to do that. And so when we were all kids, we would try to go do that, right? Now, you can't do that as a little kid, right? I'm like 12 years old, and Terry Bradshaw holds it like this, so I'm going to hold it, right? But I didn't notice that. But that's the only other guy and he does that because of the size of his hands. I did not. I just learned something. I knew I would.
Yeah. Hey. I try now and then.
Man, I honestly, I did not see it. All right, last thing before I let you go. College football, Kirby Smart got problems, transfer portal. This is my biggest problem with college football. How about the transfer portal? Free agency starts with weeks left in the season, A-Dubs. You're one of the most important figures in college football. You got to get this thing straightened out.
We need a commissioner, not me, but we need a commissioner in college football. The sport is too big. There's too much on the line. There's too many self-serving parties in this thing right now. We got to get a hold on this thing because it's in a messy, bad place right now, if we're being honest. Like what's going on with bowl games, kids not playing, like that Florida State game, Ohio State, like those aren't those teams. Like what does that represent? How is that good for the game? Yes, we had some great moments, and I'm not saying it's all bad, but college football needs to get a hold of itself, and they need a commissioner. They need leadership. They need unity. I hate what's happened with the realignment. I hate what's happening with the transfer portal. And I'm not saying players shouldn't be able to transfer, but we need restrictions. We need guardrails. We need a little more oversight with all the NIL stuff and how it's turned into a play for pay. We need an overhaul. And it needs to happen soon because otherwise, I think some of the emerging powers and the established powers in college football are going to have their way. And I don't think it's good for the long-term game that we love and the components of the game that we love about it. So I really hope somebody can, and a group of people can come together and say, yeah, maybe this doesn't serve our short-term goals, but long-term, if we want a competitive sport across college football, across the country, across conferences, we're going to maybe give a little instead of taking, because that's what we've seen, the Big Ten and the SEC, they take and they take and they take, and what they leave in their wake is not necessarily what's good for this game. So I do believe we need leadership, we need a commissioner, we need some sort of governing body outside of the NCAA and the shit show that they are. There needs to be an independent, as separate for football. It's too big. It's not what it used to be, and we're playing like a brand new technology game with like a 1984 Atari controller. Like it's just not going to work. You can't do what you need to do.
I agree. If I were a coach or if I were the head of the Coaches Association, they did this in basketball years ago. Every head coach, and I went out there, you had to go out to the O'Hare and O'Hare Hilton or whatever, and they had a huge and we were talking as coaches. We were getting some stuff straightened out that we were all going to agree to. If I were college football coaches, I got to tell you, particularly Power 5, I'd be like, hey, there's no way we're going to allow free agency during the season. I can't have Jimbo Fisher showing up in my campus to recruit one of my players. It's insanity to me that's going on. It just is.
And it's not ultimately fair to these guys either. Like you look at Malik Murphy at Texas, their backup quarterback. He didn't want to transfer right now. He wanted to play and be a part and be around his team in the Sugar Bowl and have that experience and go to the college playoff. But he couldn't. His hand is forced because he knows his future isn't at Texas. He has no ill will towards that program, but it just sounds like he wants to play right away. It's not going to happen. But he can't even save this team through a postseason that he helped them get to. That's wrong. So if we're allowing kids to transfer and what is in their best interest, this is not necessarily in their best interest. And I think people need to realize that the calendar has to change. And you're absolutely right. The other thing that's so crazy is like coaches now they'll tell you, most of them, their biggest recruiting every year is their own team. So it's going to affect, it's going to affect these high schoolers too, and their offers and their opportunities. And it's going to have far-reaching consequences because it has completely shifted the way they recruit this sport and their own teams. It's crazy.
It's insane. It just doesn't make sense. Hey, I hope I see you Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Travel
Let's
safe
make it happen.
to Bloomington.
Thanks,
Allison. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too. America still owes Allison Williams an apology. I don't care. She's one of the young Gs, YGs, not OGs. She's one of the YGs. She came on our show back when we first got started, and I've worked with her for years, and I love her. I think she's one of the most awesome women around. Here's the deal. Do me this favor. Stay here. Michele Tafoya next.
You all know how much I hate talking about Megan Rapinoe. I swear, every time that I have to utter her name, I tell myself it's the last. She makes me cringe. She makes my skin crawl. All of you probably feel the same way. There's nothing positive that comes out of her mouth, which is why we probably all feel such disgust towards Megan Rapinoe. But this might just take the cake. So she retired. We thought maybe she would fade into the background, right? Go about her business, live her life, not make the rest of us talk about her anymore. But apparently that's not the case. Now she is coming out and saying that playing for the United States is the, quote, worst job in the world. And she's saying this because of the criticism she garnered, which obviously she brought on herself by doing all of the horrible things that she did over the course of her career. One being that she felt super compelled to kneel for the national anthem and not show her pride for the United States, despite having the platform and representing the country in a way that very few people on earth get the ability to do. Listen, she's a leftist. We all know this. She is fully on board with biological men playing in women's sports. That's another thing that she was getting criticism for, which again, she should, because as a woman, she should realize that if she did allow biological men to play in soccer, let's just say, her success probably wouldn't have been even close to what it ended up being. Because as we know, I'm going to say it time and time again, men, they're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster. Women, as great of athletes as they can possibly be, they just do not add up to what men are capable of.
Man, what a great day. You get to talk to Allison Williams, Michele Tafoya. Now, that's a full day. As who said it? That's a good day. That Jimmy V, that's a heck of a day. The Michele Tafoya podcast, you can get it wherever you get your podcast. Michele, I got to ask you something. You covered football a long time. I mean, I know you're only 24, but you know what? You started as a baby. You went out. You know, I get it. This Dan Campbell thing is weird to me. I think he was trying to pull a fast one and everything got confused. I don't know. What do you think about this Lions
Here's the
thing?
thing. I keep thinking, are we ever going to know exactly what happened? Maybe 10 years from now, they'll do some documentary on this moment. But you can watch this replay again and again, right? And you go, there are 3 offensive linemen surrounding this official. And which ones are, who, and it's happened so fast, Dan. the official, as soon as, I don't know if it was 68 or 70 got there, it seemed as though the official was starting to walk away. Now, was everyone clued in on this? You saw Jared Goff direct, I think it was 68, go tell the official. And so you see that, and you see him walk over there, but almost as soon as he arrives, the official is on his way away from this thing. Troy Aikman said it well afterward. He said, I know how these things work. There could be some confusion in all of this. Maybe the official didn't hear it. Maybe, who knows? But who's going to cop to it, right? Who's going to say, I screwed up? I don't know.
Honest to God, like, it seems simple to me. If I want 68 to be eligible, and you're the referee, umpire, whatever, I walk over to you and I say, hey, I'm reporting as eligible. Okay.
Yeah.
But that seems easy to me, right? Isn't that the way 98% of this goes?
Yeah. However, in this case, look, I'm not making excuses for anyone here. Like I said, I think this is going to be a mystery until somebody cops to or admits or just says this was a huge communication breakdown. There were 3. You don't want to make it super obvious who your eligible lineman is, right? So that's why there were 2 over there in the first place. Then the third one walks up, and you're thinking, what is the official hearing? Do these 3 guys even know exactly what they're saying? What you know what I mean? I mean, 68 had to know because he saw the ball coming too. So he had to go say something, and it looks like he did. But again, if you look at it, it happens so fast. As soon as he walks up to that trio of linemen around that ref, you just go, did everyone make it clear who's eligible, who's the decoy, who's, what's going on? So it's going to be one of those grand mysteries, but everyone wants to blame the officiating staff, and maybe that's fair.
You know what happens? It even gets deeper than blaming the officials now, and this fascinates me. Like, I won't say the guy's name.
Are we going deep state
because
here, Dan?
we've seen people act like
deep state stuff.
Huh?
Is this deep state you're going?
Right. Like, oh, they're 0-6. They cost downtown Detroit millions of dollars. I mean, it's so deep now, Michele. It's just not a game. It's deep.
Follow the money is what you're saying.
A little bit. A little bit. Hey, I don't know. I just, see, a guy that I know and I like, and I'll say his name because it already happened, named John Higgins, screwed up a call, I guess. Kentucky fans bombarded his business. And I'm like, all right, hold on here. That's stupid. It's just a wacky world. What's going on with the Eagles? Nick Sirianni, what's going on here?
I don't have an answer for you. There have been critics all along that have said this team is overrated. I just don't know. But look, whenever you get to this point in the season, and I would even say the fourth quarter of the season, right? The last 4 games, you start to see teams find their rhythm. This is when you want to be playing your best football. And right now, the Ravens are playing the best football in the National Football League. And I would say second to them is probably San Francisco, although they got crushed at home by Baltimore. So, the Eagles, I think this could spell real trouble for them the rest of the way. At one point, I really did think, these guys are a factor. And they're probably going to hate me for saying this, but I don't feel like they are a factor anymore.
Really? Not even a factor.
Not in the playoffs. I mean, to me, it's coming down to the teams that are rolling, and they don't strike me as a team that is really rolling right now. So I mean, they had their roll, and I think the roll has slowed. This is just me. This is just the kind of gut feels that I get when I watch teams play each weekend, and that's the feel I have right now. So, look, I think the one team that is sort of under the radar right now might be the Cleveland Browns. They have beat both the 49ers and the Ravens this season, and they could be a little bit of that troublemaker in the AFC playoffs. So, in terms of the NFC, I don't know. I guess you could say the Eagles are a factor, but they just don't feel like the threat to me that they once did. I could be dead wrong.
I agree. No, I agree with that. I agree. It doesn't feel like they are the same. All right, I got to go to the Browns. I got to go to Joe Flacco. Like, if you're sitting there and you're the Browns owner, you know, you got an interesting thing here. You don't care about this until later, but you do have to think ahead. I got this $300 million quarterback in Watson that can't stay on the field. And I got this guy off the sideline that's throwing for 300. Now he's throwing some picks, but he's been great. I just think the whole thing is fascinating from a broader, bigger picture here, what's going to happen with the Browns.
When you've got my 18-year-old son who loves all the young new quarterbacks and is a massive 49ers fan saying, Joe Flacco could be comeback player of the year. You sort of, that piques my interest too, you know? And you know, it's true. You of course you're going to look at DeMar Hamlin, but he really, I don't even know how many snaps he's had this season, Dan. The fact that he's standing up is a comeback, there's no question. But when you have a guy like Joe Flacco come into this situation and sort of, I don't want to say resurrect your team, but really suddenly give them a new life, a life they hadn't seemed to have had. That is something. And this guy, I'm trying to remember just how old he is. I didn't look it up before we came on here, but he's not young. He's not like these younger guys. And he's got a lot of mileage on him, but look what he's doing. It's a little crazy. Yeah, I agree with you. What do the Browns do with that? I don't know.
He's either 38 or 39. I did look it up at one point, and my old head, which makes him a young man to me, old in football.
Well, yeah, he's a
terms.
Yes, of course.
Right. But I'm thinking to myself, like he resuscitated this entire organization, because you can make the argument that this would have been another crap, it's just the Browns, had they continued going the path they were going, right?
Yeah, it is interesting how a guy who sort of it doesn't even really look, you bring him in and you go, okay, this is our backup plan, right? Okay. And suddenly, like you said, breathes new life into this thing. The chemistry in football is one of the most fascinating things you will ever see, because it could just take one guy. And look, he's an older, mature, experienced leader. It could just take this one guy saying the right things at the right time, giving others confidence, giving others a sense that, whoa, we might have something here to turn a season. And it seems like that's what's happening in Cleveland. And so it makes it fun for them. If he's 38 or 39 and you're the Browns, I don't know if you can think long-term about this guy. You're right. What matters now is the next couple games, right? How far can he take you? But this is really spicy. It is fun to me to see.
It is. I've never felt, even when I lived in Bowling Green, Ohio, and our game was NFC, was Detroit Lions, AFC was the Browns. I never had appointment TV to watch the Browns ever. Like, not even when Brian Sipe and Ernest Biner, but now it's like, I want to see what Flacco does, because he is kind of hit or miss. I mean, he's thrown some picks, so it's kind of fascinating or fun, I guess, while he's doing. Hey, I got to ask you, before I let you go, if you look back on it, and last night was terrific theater, both games. Is college football in a great place, because really only the games, like college basketball is just March? Is this good for college football? Is this bad? Where are you? What are you thinking relative to college football?
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, I just want to give major kudos to Georgia, who so far to me of the weekend has looked like the best team in college football. And I really wish we had a chance to see Georgia and Michigan play, but we don't. And I wouldn't want to be the Alabama center, Seth McLaughlin, today. I feel like he's probably been having nightmares all night long, and I feel for him. I really do. Those little caveats aside, what Michigan and this kid Blake Karam did last night was pretty sensational. I wasn't as entertained by the second game, though, because it just was like, score. And finally, Washington got out there. But Washington looks legit. I think everyone feels like once they get it to 12 teams, then all will be right with the world. And I think they probably said that about college basketball at one point too. If we just 16 is perfect. Well, maybe 32 is perfect. So I hope 12 is perfect. It seems like a really good number to me. I still think, Dan, that there's a lot of dust to settle because the playoffs are just one part of this. The transfer portal is to me, it's sort of mucked up so much about college football and what we love about it and guys sticking together and staying in one place. That part I'm not real fond of, to be truthful. But yesterday was some good college football, good theater. So I think people will be glad to see this one sort of. We'll resolve it next week. We'll have a national champion. Georgia will still have a lot of complaining to do, and then we'll move on into next year. But again, I like what I saw yesterday. I'm excited to see next Monday's game. Was it Monday or Sunday? Monday. But this transfer portal is driving me nuts.
Last thing, are you a New Year's Eve celebrator?
I managed to stay awake. That's something.
That's something.
Did you?
I went to my wife and we got invited to go to a 10:30 show, great show in one of those old school dinner ballroom. We got to bed at 3:00 in the morning, baby. That's right.
Hey there.
We turned back the clock. Man,
that is fantastic.
I'm still hurting.
That is fantastic. Well, good on you. The whole family managed to stay awake, and so, but I was pretty much just kind of watching movies.
Yeah. No, I get it. My wife and we stayed up till 3 because we're badasses. Doing shots, drinking tequila. Or, no, not really, but we did stay up.
Oh, I was going to have mad new respect for you. My gosh.
A little tequila. Thank you so much, Michele. I appreciate you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to Michele Tafoya. Catch her podcast, the Michele Tafoya podcast. It is awesome. She gets in depth on everything. I consider her battling behind enemy lines living in Minnesota. Like, what's the craziest state? Well, it's got to be California. What's the second craziest? Got to be Minnesota, right? I mean, unless, I don't know. Last time I was in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, a day after, some guy threw some, whatever. I'm not even going to get into it. We're going to talk some college football, college basketball. That's right. We're talking some college hoops. I went to the Rupp Arena. First time ever as a fan in Rupp Arena. And I'd been there as a coach. I played there in Rupp Arena. But first time as a fan. And I got to tell you, Rupp Arena is kind of a crappy building now. It's old. But I'll tell you this, the team is good. In fact, the team is so good that I have bumped up the Kentucky Wildcats to my top 5. They are 5th in the country according to the Danny D Index. That's right, the index goes by who's playing well. Seeing Kentucky in person tells me, whoa, are they long? Yes. Are they fast? Wow. And at least the day that I was there, which was, I believe, Friday, man, could they shoot the pelota. And that kid right there, Reed Sheppard, who's daddy, Indiana fans, I wanted Jeff Sheppard at Indiana so bad. Reed Sheppard's daddy, Peachtree City. I flew out there 3 or 4 times. The kid came to our camp. I loved him. And Bob Knight told me, he's not good enough. He was good enough to become the most outstanding player in the NCAA tournament in 1998, and they won a national championship. His son is good enough to be the best player on Kentucky as a freshman. Kentucky, ladies and gentlemen, can go. I don't know if they can rebound enough. Illinois State, who is not a big team, in fact, they play mostly guards. Illinois State had 24 offensive rebounds against Kentucky. Now, if I'm Calipari, I'm going to have to clean that up, certainly, as we move towards conference play, which starts up today or tomorrow, whatever. I know there's a lot of conference games starting. The big one, of course, is Illinois State at Drake. But long story short, Kentucky, to me, is the number 5 team in the country and rising. Look, it's a tough conference because I'm going to have another team from that conference in my top 5, and that is Tennessee. Rick Barnes and the Tennessee Volunteers, all I'm going to tell you is this. They are tough. They are physical. Yes, Purdue got them early in one of the games of the year already, but if you are looking for a team that to root for that is outside, or if you're scrolling through and you're tired of watching a bad North Carolina team with Armando Bacot in his 20th year, or Pittsburgh, and they both play tonight, do yourself a favor. Check out Tennessee. Rick Barnes' teams are playing. Rick Barnes, the coach at Texas, who they thought wasn't good enough to be at Texas. Well, his teams do a number of things that are very fundamental. One, they guard the hell out of you. Two, they play physical as hell. They don't back down from anything. Three, they don't screw around with the basketball. Now, they don't turn the ball over. They're not going to give the ball. They don't foul. They're just one of those teams that when you watch them, you go, you know what? It's a little like Kalen DeBoer last night. I want you to think about the correlation here. Old school wins. Caleb DeBoer's team at Washington, they use the clock. They whittle the game down. They snap the ball even in the first quarter with like 5 seconds consistently on the freaking clock. It's old school. That's exactly what Tennessee does in basketball. It's old school. Hey, look, John Beilein, we're not going to turn the ball over. We're not turning it over. We are 1,000% not fouling crazy. We're going to get good shots. We'll play inside out if we need to. We can do all of those things. Now, Tennessee, to me, even though they have 3 losses, when you watch them, you walk away and you go, damn, this team can ball. This team can really ball, and they found themselves a gem. Kentucky, Tennessee is going to be epic this year. Not kind of, sort of, but big time, sort of. In fact, I may have to go to that one. Number 3 is Kansas. Kansas just keeps winning. I keep watching Kansas, and I keep thinking to myself, I don't like their team. I don't think their team is great. But Kansas basketball went into Assembly Hall and won after being down and playing really poorly. They did. Assembly Hall, now Indiana, you may not think that's a big win, but it is. No, it's a really good win. It's a very good win on that particular afternoon. Now, a lot of people are saying, like I'm saying, Hunter Dickinson's a weirdo. I don't like him, blah, 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 blah. They throttled Missouri. They won the second half against UConn. I want to go through this for you in a second. Kansas has beaten Tennessee. Now, that was in Maui. They got beat by, and they got throttled, got crushed by Marquette in one of the great games that Marquette's going to play ever. They came back, and they already beat Kentucky. They beat UConn. They beat Missouri. They beat Indiana at Indiana. Now, I don't know what to tell you, but that's a pretty good resume. You win at Kentucky. You win at Indiana, or I guess they beat Kentucky in the Champions Classic. You beat UConn. You beat Missouri. That's a hell of a resume. They probably should be higher rated. Number 3, and I hate to do it, but I got to do it because they just don't lose. Houston basketball. University of Houston. Now, look, I don't know whether Houston is going to be one of those teams that continues coming on. I don't know. I don't know. But here's how I look at it. They beat the living out of people. They beat the absolute dog out of people. I mean, they hold Texas State to 37 points. And in modern college basketball, you can't hold teams to 37 points. They held Penn to 42 points. Rice to 39 points. Now, last I looked, Rice is a Division I team. 44 for Montana. Xavier got to 60 at home, but they got beat. 66, 49, 48, 50, 31 for Louisiana Monroe. Now, I don't know about you, but that's balling. I don't know about you, but that's toughness. Calvin Sampson's a cheat. He'll always be a cheat in my mind. He cheated at Indiana. He cheated at Oklahoma. I don't know whether you can still cheat in college basketball or not, but if you can, that fraud right there, we'll figure it out. It's just what he does, period. Don't at me about it. The number 1 team is Purdue. And until further notice, Purdue will remain number 1. Now, the thing you got to understand about Purdue is I wonder what's going to happen and this is just me, I wonder what's going to happen on the second game of a weekend if they have to do this, if they have to play somebody athletic. And I'll give you the day. You ready? Penn State at Purdue on Saturday. All right? And then Purdue is going to come back and play at Indiana on Tuesday, the 16th. Now, I'm saying to you, that, my friends, is going to be interesting. That's where they're going to lose. Indiana's going to beat them at Indiana. Indiana is long. Indiana is athletic. Now, does Indiana have anybody going to score the ball? I don't know. And then Indiana on the 10th of February is going to get the crap beaten out of it at Purdue. But I'm telling you right now, Purdue starts, they go to Maryland. Maryland's got a nice little team. That's fine. That happens this weekend. They start Big Ten play actually tonight. Purdue, I'm sure it's on like Peacock or something. I don't even know. So I'm probably not even going to watch. What network's it on? I don't know. Where is it? I don't know. Probably Peacock. If I'm not doing the game, I ain't watching. But anyway, long story short, Purdue is my number one team, but Indiana is going to beat Purdue at Indiana on the 16th, a Tuesday night. And frankly, they should beat Purdue. College basketball is getting going, and I'm kind of fired up for it. I am. I'm actually really fired up. Yep. You can watch the game tonight on Peacock. Purdue. All right. Yay, rah. Go fight, win. I don't want to go get Peacock. I want to flip my channels and be done with this mess. But hey, I digress. Maybe I do have Peacock. Maybe I just got to go to Peacock. Let me ask the YouTube chat something. Are you going to go watch us over at OutKick.com, which is going to be the exclusive home? All you got to do is go to OutKickWatch.com. Are you going to watch Peacock? Are you? Griff, Bill Murray, Griffing, David Griffing, Big Daddy, Van Pasterman. Uh-oh, Van Pasterman says I'm giving him the whammy. No, I'm not. I'm a new man. All right, watch and learn. OutKick.com. OutKick.com is your one-stop shop for all things starting tomorrow. I'll say it again, starting tomorrow, only on OutKick.com. We got big news coming this year, and one of them is we're going to OutKick.com as your one-stop shop. You can still get video. All of our videos will be up at OutKick. No question about it. OutKick YouTube. No question about it. But ladies and gentlemen, starting tomorrow, it's on like donkey. See, the algorithm, YouTube screws around with you. Like anybody that says there is no censorship on YouTube, Twitter, they're full of crap. There absolutely is. I mean, we know there is. We know there is every single day. We know there is. I mean, we can follow this stuff just like they can do it. So they have limited us. They have put strikes on OutKick. We are a conservative outfit, so they try to screw with you. And this is not a conservative conspiracy theory. This is what is happening. I mean, look, OutKick is owned by Fox News. They have the means to figure out who's watching, how are they watching, and how it's being distributed. Back before we became popular, we were all over it. Millions of views. All of a sudden, we got popular. All of a sudden, we started talking conservative. Next thing you know, boom. So we're not messing around. I don't give a damn what anybody else thinks. We know this. I don't give a damn what some website says. This is what we know. And we're taking steps. Lee, I'm not going to lie. I look good on this TV. We'll be right back.
So Megan Rapinoe, everyone's favorite U.S. women's national team player, she had some things to say about how she feels like playing soccer for her country is the worst job in the world. And playing for the U.S. women's national team is the worst job in the world. I don't want to misquote, all right? I don't want to paraphrase here. I want to get this right before we respond to it with what Megan had to say. The headline, and now my computer is frozen. The headline from OutKick is Megan Rapinoe says playing for U.S. women's national team is worst job in the world, perfectly represents The loser mentality creeping into American culture. Story written by Mark Harris, friend of ours, been a guest on this show. Quote from Rapinoe, and this is in the new Netflix documentary series, Under Pressure, the U.S. Women's World Cup team. Quote, I always say it's the worst job in the world because if you do your job, then you were supposed to. And if you do one hair less, then you are going to get lambasted for it, Rapinoe said. Let me say this. First off, to say that playing a sport for a living is the worst job in the world is utterly ridiculous and completely lacks self-awareness for what a lot of people, men and women both, have to do for a living, okay? Second part, that's every job, Megan. If you do your job, you move on to the next day. You move on to the next show. You move on to the next shift. No one is patting you on the back. No one's throwing a party for you. You just get to keep doing the job. And when you don't do your job, you get lambasted over it.
I swear Heather Dinich is the illegitimate child, or maybe legitimate child of Paul Feinbaum. I see Feinbaum and I think Heather Dinich. By the way, who was the idiot woman that asked Harbaugh about, is this your last game last night? I mean, how stupid are you? I get it. Everybody's trying to make waves. Everybody's trying to get done what they need to get done in the media, but it's just stupid. I swear to God, Heather Dinich and Paul Feinbaum are the exact same human being. They are. One's a dude, one's a woman, and they look exactly alike. And I don't know if that's a compliment. I don't know if it's not. I have no idea. Hey, Hugh Freeze is very Christian. Do you know who Hugh Freeze is? Hugh Freeze is the man at Auburn. Hugh Freeze is the Christian man that was using his Mississippi state-issued phone. I know he was a coach at Mississippi, but it was a state-issued phone. Mississippi state-issued. Too separate to call hookers and strippers and whatever lines you do with those things. I don't know. I'll have to ask Van Pasterman. I kid, VPM. But anyway, he was doing that, gets fired. And now, after resurrecting himself at Liberty, this great Christian man, of course, he can't take any blame. This great Christian man, after getting his ass kicked at Auburn, says, well, obviously, I don't feel like it was an effective one, talking about his offense. I didn't get too involved in it for most of it. We didn't run the ball very well. It starts there. We have to go look at run schemes that we had, and did we not play? Hugh Freeze is throwing his coaches under the bus because, well, frankly, that's what the religious do for the most part. Let me read this again. Well, obviously, I don't feel like it was an effective one, talking about his offensive play. And I didn't get too involved in it for the most part until this week because of recruiting and really wanted to kind of evaluate everything about our program. We didn't run the ball. It starts there. We have to go look at the run schemes that we had. And did we not play hard up front? It's really hard for me to tell. All right? But they really dominated the line of scrimmage against us. Well, Hugh, okay. The buck doesn't stop with Hugh. They did load the box now. They forced us to. They had extra hats in the box for sure. And that's when you've got to be able to throw it some. But we didn't protect the passer real well. It wasn't all on the O-line. That's where you're throwing them under the bus. Sometimes the backs didn't get the protection right. But anytime you struggle like we did, it's not, I don't feel like the plan was great. Well, there you go. So if I'm in the offensive coordinator, what am I anticipating? I hope that I have bought wicker furniture so that I can move easily. I hope that I am renting, not owning, because, well, you've got to do that. You've really got to do that. You've got to say, well, this guy, Hugh Freeze, is a fraud, and, well, rent. If anything goes wrong, one thing you can bet about old Hugh Freeze is that it ain't going to be on him. God told him something like that. Or, ladies and gentlemen, maybe, just maybe, it's going to be the coach's fault. And we know it is not going to be Hugh Freeze's fault. So guess what? Make sure you rent and make sure the furniture's wicker. Because wicker is a hell of a lot lighter than anything else. Von Miller, he of the constant or multiple beating, at least alleged, of women, that doesn't matter because Von is a well-spoken man, a good player, African-American, so it doesn't matter that he has had not one, not two, but 3 domestic violent incidents. He still, ladies and gentlemen, gets to play, and we see him in commercials. Well, maybe he's just not good enough. Maybe he is just not good enough. Von Miller, the stud linebacker who, for whatever the reason, has to dominate women with his fists or his hands or whatever, he was a healthy scratch. Tim Graham, who I like, said, I'm told by a Bill source Von Miller being inactive was a coach's decision and not due to injury setbacks or legal developments. Since Von Miller has been in the NFL, which goes all the way back to 2011, he has missed, 11, he missed all 16 with a foot in 2020, 12, 13, 19 games. This is the first time that he has been a healthy scratch. So the Buffalo Bills aren't playing yo. Von Miller signed a 6-year, $120 million deal that runs through 27. Von Miller, average, it ranked him in the top 10. Well, guess what? 51 million of it are guaranteed. He's gotten 45 million. Look, it's too bad. The Bills had a chance to say, hey, let me tell you something. We are supporting women. This dude apparently can't keep his hands off women, so we ain't playing him. That'd have been good, right? But somehow, some way, you've got to defend these jackasses. Somehow, some way, you can't say that because Von Miller might get mad. Who gives a rat's if Von Miller is mad? Hell, you should be mad. Sean McDermott, you should be mad. Owner of the Bills, you should be mad. General manager of the Bills, that this jackass who you're paying $20 million to can't play, number one, anymore, and number two, embarrasses you in the franchise by becoming involved in legal issues with women. And every company, including the Bills, that supports this guy is culpable. Whatever happened to Me Too? Or is Me Too only mad at people that they can bully? White middle-class guys like me or middle-aged guys like me. Stop it, stupid. The dude can't keep his hands physically off women. He can't stop hitting, punching, whatever. Hey, look, we all like women, but damn. How about you just say this jackass should never play for us again? How about a company come out? Look, hey, I don't know what's real and what's not, but I do know this is the third time. Isn't that supposed to be a charm? I don't know. Let me give you a good story. You ready? There is a kid named Martell Irby. Martell Irby plays at Arizona, which, by the way, is one of the great stories in college football. It really is. Let's hear. Are we going to hear from Martell Irby? He's praising God for his amazing life coming from living in a car to being the MVP of a bowl game. You got that one?
Martell Irby, 7 tackles, interception, forced fumble, one of the leaders of this defense, one of the leaders of this football team. A couple years ago, you were living in a Kia, working at a gym so you had a place to shower. Man. You moved to Tucson, didn't have a scholarship, didn't even have a spot. You bet on yourself, and here you are, double-digit win season, Alamo Bowl champions.
Glory be to God. I can't thank Arizona enough. I can't thank my brothers enough. I just want to enjoy this moment with my teammates, with my family, and just embrace it, man. I couldn't have scripted this any better, you know, so just going to take it for what it is, embrace it, and I'll worry about tomorrow, man. I'm just thankful. I couldn't have pictured this.
You told me the last time I talked to you about it, you said, I pulled away from my parents, I pulled away from my friends, I needed to figure it out on my own. But how much did you realize you needed to be a part of a team to be successful?
Now, looking back, I see that I needed that more than ever. You know, just being a part of the grind, being a part of something bigger than myself, you know? So I can't thank these people enough, and I can't wait for this confetti to fall so us to just go crazy, you know, and just enjoy the fruits of our labor, man.
That, to me, was the best thing about working at ESPN. Now, the money was good, too. It let me pay kids through college. But you found out when you did games the stories of different kids. And the stories are so sad. They're just so sad. And most of them involve kids whose fathers weren't there. And it just got me pissed off. It did. It just made me nuts that we go around and kids get born because people just stick their thing and women spread their legs, and next thing you know, we got kids and nobody's a parent. So this kid takes it upon himself, and guess what? Not only makes something of himself, that's great, but not inspires and is unafraid to tell his story. A lot of people at that age are embarrassed by their backgrounds. A lot of people at that age don't want to stand out. Hell, I know I didn't. In terms of a story or in terms of I didn't want to wear anything, whatever. But this kid's story is absolutely awesome. And that was the cool. People ask me, what do you miss about doing games for ESPN or anywhere? And I say, you know, I don't really miss anything about it except learning the stories of kids. And they're so sad so often, and it's so heartbreaking. But it's awesome to see a kid like Irby become, man, God dang, is that freaking awesome. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story that I want to lead with. I didn't because we had all this football in 2024. That right there. Dude living in a car, dude working so he could take a shower somewhere, and next thing you know, there he is on national TV, unafraid to give glory to God, unafraid to share his story. That is awesome. Not kinda, not sorta, that is awesome. Hey, it's over. It's over. The Detroit Pistons national nightmare is over, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. I said it. They won a game. They beat the Raptors 129 to 127. And you know what else? They probably celebrated too much. Too much. They probably did because, well, they got their ass beat the next night out. They did. Now, they only tied the all-time record. They tied the 76ers record, but in a single season, it's the most ever. 28 was the losses. 28 was 2014-15, 2015-16 of the Philadelphia 76ers. That's right. There you go. Man. All right. The single season record was broken. And I told you the other day that when you have guys that are good enough to get you fired, like Jaden Ivey, like guy named Duran, like Wiseman, like Cade Cunningham, guys that have no understanding of anything other than individual basketball, you have a chance to set records, and not in a good way. Well, they set the records, and guess what? They finally got a win. Hey, dog bites, athletes need big dogs. Apparently, athletes need like pit bulls, German shepherds, nasty dogs. I'll never understand it. But Aaron Gordon got bit in the face by a dog. All right, so here's what he said. He had to miss games. He had 20-plus stitches in his face. Now, I got to tell you something. If my dog Lula bites me in the face, Lula ain't here no more. I got rid of a dog, first dog I ever had, named George. Cocker Spaniel. Cocker Spaniel nipped Andrew D. in the face. You know what happened the next day? George was on a farm up in Indiana. Friend of mine, true story, because we didn't kill it. We took the dog. I called a buddy of mine, Andy Atar, who's America's foremost dog trainer. I said, what can we do? He said, you can do nothing. He goes, Cocker Spaniel. If you don't want it biting your kids, get rid of it. Got rid of it. Sent it up to a farm, Grandma's farm. A friend of ours' grandmother's farm. Well, I guess it's a little bit embarrassing, Aaron Gordon said. 21 stitches in the face. But not too embarrassing to where I can't talk about it. Oh, it was on his shooting hand. I'm sorry, it wasn't on his face. I thought it was on his face. I don't drink a lot during the season. I probably had a little too much eggnog. I was kind of roughhousing with my dog, and I think my dog got a little excited, basically chomped down, gave me a bite. I was wrestling him off me. Then he bit my hand, 21 stitches in the hand. I'm sorry, I for some reason, I had it on his face. All right. That dog's still gone. Lula, you do any biting, you gone. You gone. You bite my hand, you bite my ass, you bite my face, you bite my neck, you bite my kids, anybody, you gone. She gone. Hell, there's a lake out there. Just saying. Biting me. It ain't happening. It ain't happening today. It ain't happening tomorrow. It ain't happening the next day. All right, people are not happy. People are not happy because over the weekend, the Knicks made a trade. The New York Knickerbockers made a trade, and they got OG Anunoby. Now, OG Anunoby is a really good player. OG Anunoby is the kind of player you can win a lot with. Knick fans don't understand that. Knick fans think, well, man, we got Emmanuel Quickley and J.T. Barrett. They embrace New York. Yeah? Well, I got to tell you, good for Tom Thibodeau. Why? Because you're not winning anything with R.J. Barrett. J.T. Barrett was a quarterback. R.J. Barrett ain't winning you nothing. R.J. Barrett is one of those guys good enough to what? Say it with me for the people in the back. Good enough to get you fired. Period. Good enough to get your ass fired. Now, Anunoby came to Indiana as kind of a little-known recruit, and he became a terrific player. He's got the biggest thighs in the world, and that serves him well. The Knicks stink. Barrett and Quickley stink. They're two guys that are going to get you fired. So now you can play DiVincenzo. Now you can play Josh Hart. I like Quentin Grimes because I like his dad. Blah, 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 blah. But the fact of the matter is, and Knick fans will never understand this because Knick fans got mad about the trade, which says they don't know their ass from third base. You got a winning dude. You got a really good player that can play any place you want in Anunoby. You got a guy that's a gem to coach. You got a guy that's going to help you win. And you got rid of two guys that you didn't win with. And your coach, the only guy in that organization that's ever won anything, your coach got tired of coaching him. That's good move. You watch. And if I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. But now I got to start following the Knicks because I was reading all of the nonsense that was being sent. I was reading all of it. and people were out of their ever-loving man. See, Nick says, Quickly was the man. Uh-huh. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. You're right. Quickly was the man. R.J. Barrett was the man. R.J. Barrett couldn't win in Australia. R.J. Barrett can't shoot. I did summer league games, and I got tired of R.J. Barrett. I got so tired of R.J. Barrett that I'm like, hey, he's going to score points in the NBA because he's an early draft pick. And as an early draft pick, the general manager and the coach got to play you. And if you get in the game even a little bit, you're going to score points in the watered-down NBA. You just are. I'm sorry. So he scored points, but let's see, where are the Knicks right now? They're in the 8th spot. They're 18-15. What a crap league this is. Holy cow. But anyway, there you go. The Knicks, they just beat Minnesota. They had just lost to Indiana. So on the 1st, they beat Minnesota, who is supposed to be good. And the headline is this: OG Anunoby sparks Knicks offense. 17 points, gave him a spark, nice ovation off the bench. Knicks fans, I know you're dumb. I know all of New York fans are dumb. But stay with me here. You're gonna like this trade. Yeah, and I'm going to follow the Knicks because I like OG Anunoby. All right, let's woke-a-dope it, people. What do you guys got back there? What's going on back there? I look good today. Old Smeller. Man, look at that. That's a Walt Disney Presents. Now, what exactly is Camilla Harris doing? What's she doing down there? Did she go to Lover's Lane or something and get a little, strap thing on there? What's she doing to old Joltin' Joe Biden? She getting a sniff? See, you got to understand something about Joltin' Joe Biden. Did you see the interview the other day? Like, Joe Biden's trying really hard. His wife, the doctor, had to remind Joe Biden that ice cream is one of his favorite foods. That's right. She had to whisper in his ear, ice cream. That's our president. And he doesn't have the biggest mush brain in that duo right there. Old Heels Up with her giggling at her own jokes hysterically, which is pretty funny. Heels Up will let you know that there ain't nobody dumber than her. I want you 84 million people to line up and admit that you voted for that. Come on. Come on. Next. What the hell? I don't have my glasses in there. What is that? Check engine. Oh, man, the check engine light's on Joe Biden. What? The check engine light, when that comes on, you got problems. That thing has been on since Joltin' Joe Biden hung out in the basement to win an election. Who you crapping? The check engine light is rocking and rolling, ladies and gentlemen, and we're all in on it. We love Joe Biden's check engine light. It should be across his forehead right here. You should tattoo, I'm with stupid, to whoever walks next to Joe Biden. You know that t-shirt, I'm with stupid, and there's an arrow? That's what they should do. Next! New Year's resolution, sniff less children. Stop screwing up America. I will say this about Biden, all fairness, gas prices are down. Now, it must be an election cycle. But gas prices, as Lee and I were traversing the country, whether it was in Florida on our way up through Georgia into Tennessee, then we went back down to Kentucky, southern Indiana, gas prices were all under $2.80. Now, $2.79, still not great, but not as bad as when Biden got it going. And I'll also say this, the 401k has jumped up a little bit. Hey, look, I'll be fair. You know what I've said? I don't want to hear the word inflation. That's what's killing me. That's where I cannot get behind Biden. That and my tax dollars going to support people hanging on beaches in Ukraine. I can't get down with that. I can't do it. I can't. I'm sorry. I won't. I shan't. I will not. Cannot. No. No, 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 no. But to stop sniffing children, Hey, speaking of that, we have any more? That's it, right? I think we go with 3. Speaking of that, the Epstein flight log is supposed to be coming out today, maybe tomorrow. You know what's going to happen? Not one damn thing. Apparently, Bill Clinton was on and at Pedophile Island over 50 times. You know what's going to happen? Not a damn thing. Mark my words. The mainstream media will protect these pedophiles. And Donald Trump, I'll give Donald Trump credit for this. Once he found out Epstein was a pedophile, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He excommunicated him from all things Trump. Now, you're not going to know that. All you got to do is do a little research, and you will see that. But once Trump found this out, he got rid of Jeffrey Epstein. Once Clinton found out, apparently, he went back for more. And what is more? Having sex with young, trafficked women. Now, I'm not suicidal, but I am going to speak out on this. There was another death. All you got to do is research some of this. Jeffrey Epstein did not commit suicide. There's not a chance in hell. Tucker Carlson has an interview with Epstein's brother. This is a sad, sad state of affairs in our country because right now, I believe, we have a chance to expose the oligarchy. We have a chance to expose the deep state. You can make fun of it all you want, but that just means you haven't paid attention. We have a chance to get the worst of the worst, the richest of the rich, out of our lives and expose them. Hillary Clinton has turned off all replies on her Twitter. Why? Because her husband's a pedophile. She knew about it and didn't do anything about it. Swear to God. It's disgusting what we're going to see here. It's disgusting what we're going to see here from people of power in our country, what they did and what they participated in with young women, Jeffrey Epstein, and that jackass Maxwell lady. But also equally disgusting is you won't see our friend Greg Doyle, who comments on everything political. You won't see his ass comment on it. You won't see the Indy Star, the USA Today. You won't see any of it from Gannett. Maybe one of the news channels will pick it up, maybe. If there gets to be enough heat, maybe. What will the New York Post or New York Times do? Nothing. What will the Washington Post do? Nothing. It's disgusting. It's another attack on women. This time, young women. You'll see it. It's just like this. It's just like, it doesn't matter what polls say. It doesn't matter if Biden is down a bunch to Trump. What matters is who is mining the store on election night. Look, I pay attention. I don't expect you all to pay attention. It's my job to pay attention. And I pay attention 24/7. People ask me, why are you on Twitter so much? Because I want to know what people are saying. I want to know what's going on. Even my own family's like, how do you know so much? I go, I pay attention. But I'm telling you right now, as disgusting as what happened on Epstein Island, wherever, with all these people, what's going to be as disgusting, if not more so, is what the media is going to do, which is not a damn thing. Why can that be on the same level? I'll tell you why. Because the media has an opportunity here to expose, the media has an opportunity here to stop, to make a big impact on sex trafficking. If us, if we see Gates or Clinton or any of these actually go down, it will stop it. Certainly slow it down. You think in Hollywood now, do you really think in Hollywood now, guys that are in positions at studios, guys that are agents, are still trying to shtup every young actress with the promise of getting a part after what happened to Weinstein? You think so? Not a chance. Not saying there aren't some, but not a chance. It was so rampant back then that they talked about it on different shows. Weinstein, most powerful man in Hollywood, goes down. You don't hear much about that anymore. Same thing, but our media is only 3% of media members don't identify as liberal. That ain't diversity. That, my friends, that is a biased, tainted, ridiculous media. Have a great afternoon and Happy New Year. Remember, tomorrow This is not going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on OutKick.com. Push the wash button now. The videos will be back on YouTube. I don't know that we have a chat set up yet, but it will be hopefully within the week. To all of you that supported us all these years, thank you so much. We can't wait to start right there on OutKick.com. You think I was out of my mind, loose with my words, and free to speak on YouTube? Watch me on OutKick. Thank you, everybody. Molly and Brooke, thank you. Dylan, can't thank you enough for all your work. Nick and Nick, of course, our good friends Katie and Haley, and of course Beth the Booker, Aaron, and Gary. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you all for being with us. Catch us tomorrow on OutKick.com. It's going to be fun.